direction is his trend going?
Mm-hmm.
And are his actions in line with that? Or are you projecting an idea of him on him because that's what you want to see? So it ends up being really selfish.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I stopped feeling bad for women, because it's like...
That's messed up. You should still feel bad for... No, I don't want to say supposed to be, but we should be the helpmate of our men. Not saying if that's not what you want to do, that's totally fine. But what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Egyptia, and welcome back, and welcome to This Needs Wine. All right. Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to This Needs Wine. I'm your girl, Egyptia, and today I'm actually not by myself today. I have Mr. Alan Obi with us from We Need to Talk, from his channel that is booming right now. I just definitely want to tell you thank you because I know you are so busy.
I got to pull up on you. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? You've been a day one person. So.
Yes, always. So I definitely thank you for that. You guys definitely should check out his channel. It's really amazing. Every time you drop something, I'm always like, let me see what he's talking about. Because you're so good at, like, first of all, debates, good conversations and everything. So I'm really glad that you're here. Thank you. So let's go ahead and get this bottle cracking. So today we are getting hooked up with some Chardonnay from Josh. So I'm going to go ahead and get you just a little lit.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Get a good pour.
Is this like a sweeter or like a drier?
It's a good mix, to be honest. It's not too dry, not sweet. I think that's kind of why I like Chardonnay.
It's like halfway.
Yeah, it's a good halfway thing. So, well, let's do a toast for you being the first guest on the show. Yeah, the first guest. Yeah. Yes, because I had a guest like on the audio part, but never on the actual video. So what I wanted to talk about. So I don't know if you remember when I had a post that was actually on my podcast channel, where the guy, it was the podcast from Hardly Initiated. I don't know if you remember.
The guys who went viral.
Yes, the guys who went viral. Actually, let me go ahead and actually play just to jog your memory, because that's the one where you were like, that's why I say men should not date. And I'm like, why? And that's when you were like, well, let's talk about it. So this one here.
When it comes to financial, let me put this in perspective. If you require your woman to bring financial asset or gain to the table, you're telling her that, and she works in a corporate arena or in a position or in a business where it requires her to be masculine, you're asking her to maintain a level of masculinity throughout your relationship, while also saying that I want you to be feminine. You want her to jump from back to back.
You ask her to do too much.
You ask her to do way too much, bro. Like, way too much.
And you're confusing her with what her value is.
Right. Exactly.
She's confused now because you telling me to bring this. So now this ain't this valuable? And she's providing at that point. Aren't we equal? We bought the same shit?
Exactly. Right. No, like, fuck that, bro. Take care of your shit. Because at the end of the day, if she wasn't here, you would still have to do it. And that's bro, you would still have to pay electric, still have to pay water, still have to pay. You would still have to be a grown fucking man, whether she was here or not. So it depends.
So that clip. Okay, so that's where you were saying, and this is the reason why I tell men not to date. So, and then my thing was, well, how are men supposed to gain relationship skills if they're not having relationship experiences?
I think it's tough because we're such an overly romantic culture.
We are.
And I think agree. Because we're so romantic, we don't really get into the practicalness of partnership and practicalness of life. And a man's first relationship skill should be able to, or is the ability to provide. His second one is the ability to protect. Nothing else can happen if you don't have those two first, right? Which and the only way you can really get those two is if you prioritize them. Because if you're too busy trying to be Casanova, how hardworking of a man can you be? If you're too busy trying to be the flowers and candy guy, how good can you be at protecting and foresight and anticipating the different challenges that life brings along.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think the butterflies and the rom-com shit is gonna last forever, and it doesn't.
It really doesn't. I think that there's actually another podcast that I watch called Enjoy the Podcast, and one of the guys, JD, he's really big on like therapy. So there's this relationship therapist that I think either he goes to or he follows, and the therapist literally said people should actually not fall in love at least until after 2 years of dating, because those feelings kind of go away after 2 years, like the chemical.
I can get with that.
Like that in love drunkenness, the dopamine, all that, and it does go away after 2 years. It's like
that's facts. That's what. Well, so in psychology class, one of the best definitions I got for love, it was I think it's called Sternberg's triangular theory of love, and he was calling love, or complete love, consummate love, the sum of three things: intimacy, commitment, and passion. And when those three things are working together, you have complete love. You have the fairy tale shit. If you only have one out of three, it's a different type of love, but it's still love. If you have 2 out of 3, it's a different type of love, it's still love. Unfortunately, things like passion don't necessarily sustain. You can't sustain off of passion for 50 years.
No,
it's just not. It's not sustainable.
But can it be recreated every time, though?
Well, so that's the thing. I look at passion, when I think of passion, when I visualize it, I think of fire.
Okay.
When I visualize intimacy, I think of electricity.
Okay.
When I think of commitment, I think of like a foundation, right? So the thing with fire is super hot. It can burn. It's vicious, but it needs oxygen. It needs to constantly be fanned.
Yeah.
Right. So passion by itself isn't going to burn forever if there's no oxygen.
Yeah.
If it can't be fanned, right?
Yeah.
And what can spark a fire is electricity. Fire can't lead to electricity, but electricity can lead to fire.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for me it starts with the fire, because I have to want to like sleep with you. Like I have to find you physically attractive.
Right. Exactly.
And then the electricity is what sustains that fire. It's what keeps it burning. It's what reignites it, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it's what leads to the foundation of we're going to be together for however long. But I think people don't look at it like pragmatically. They just look at it as butterflies and roses and all that bullshit.
So you think a man should abstain from, I don't want to say just women in general, but like just abstain from any kind of relationship until he knows he can provide and protect?
Until a man can be his ideal man, he can never be yours.
You know, I remember you said that before, and because I've met some of the most incredible men that I've met, that I've had the best connections with. It was always at the wrong time. And that's something that was always talked about heavily, like right person, wrong time type of thing. And especially being in our 20s, this is the time where we're developing who we are. We're finding out what we need, what we want, and gaining experiences. And I've realized that it's true. If a man is not where he wants to be, there's nothing that he can do for you.
And there's nothing you can do for him. And unfortunately, life is about trade-offs.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are going to be attentive to a woman, you might not be able to be as attentive to your career. Especially during the early stages where you're still building. You're not making that much money. You're still trying to establish connections and a network and all that. So for younger men, or even men my age, I mean, I'm not even 30 yet, but our priority should be our purpose. You know, even like, I'm not a super good Christian, but the Bible talks about how God gave Adam work before he gave him Eve.
Yes, and I remember
he gave him purpose first.
Miles Monroe talking. Was it Miles Monroe talking about that? Yeah, and I guess if a man has a purpose, there's something that a woman can come in and submit
and
to.
Helpmate too. Yeah, helpmate. You know what I mean? So like, and that's the thing. A lot of men think they're gonna find purpose from a woman.
Do you know how many men have told me that they're looking for a woman to inspire, not necessarily inspire, but it almost sounds like almost like I would like for a woman to lead me in a direction to where it inspires me to be who I want to be.
That's trash.
And for me, I always felt like, that's well, trash. Shouldn't you already know what you need to be? If you're supposed to be the leader, then aren't you supposed to know who you need to be, who you want to be? I feel like there's a certain way where we can be amused or inspire you in different aspects, but I don't feel like you finding yourself should be.
One of the things, I have a lot of conversations with women, and they tell me about, my ex, he pretty much tricked me. I thought he was one thing, and he ended up being another.
I always say that.
And the questions
I'm that person.
The questions I ask, it's like, okay, he said he was, crass example, but he says he was getting his doctorate degree, his master's.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that nigga studying? Did you ever see that nigga reading books? Did you ever see that nigga like putting together the beginning parts of his dissertation? Oh no, I didn't. I saw him playing 2K. I saw him out with his friends. Then he just talking, right? But unfortunately, I think since women are in love with love, they want to believe us when we say whatever we need to say to get in your pants.
Yes,
right?
But that's so sad.
The only thing, I think human beings in general, we want to believe people. But the only thing that matters is what is he doing? Are his actions, what direction is his trend going? And are his actions in line with that? Or are you projecting an idea of him on him because that's what you want to see? So it ends up being really selfish. And that's why I stopped feeling bad for women, because it's like...
That's messed up. You should still feel bad for... No, because, you still should have some kind of sympathy, though, because... If we're trying to, basically see the best in a man, there's a little bit... But I understand what you're saying, though.
The reason, and I get that, the only reason I say, I don't feel as much sympathy is because if you want to see the best in a man...
Yeah.
And he is bringing in... His business is bringing in $20,000 a year. And you know that he's so hardworking and everything... And you see that he could bring in $100,000 a year, that's different. But if you're seeing a man being able to bring in $100,000 a year, but he hasn't even filed an LLC, you're doing that for yourself. It's a selfish fantasy that you've created for yourself that he may or may not want to participate in. And I know it's weird to think of it like I'm being selfish because I'm seeing a better version of a person. But yeah, when you've negotiated an idea of somebody that they haven't actually wanted for, they don't actually want for themselves, it's for you.
But if a man comes in saying that I want to be X, I'm trying to be X, Y, and Z, and this is who I want to be. So, in your opinion, if we don't see anything, it's best to just either address it, don't listen to it.
What's the saying? Believe half of what you see and none of what you hear?
Yeah. Okay. So, when do you think it's a good age for men to be in a committed relationship?
I've heard different. I'm 29, so I'm not committing or relationshiping for a while. But
I remember you saying that.
I've heard some people say 35. I've heard some people say 30.
Yeah.
But especially nowadays, like I say, until you've become what you want to become for yourself, and not necessarily like the peak of who you're going to become.
Yeah.
Because I think a woman can take you to the next level, but at least to a point where certain things are on autopilot, you have certain systems in place, you're able to allocate time to cultivating a relationship. Until you can do that, you don't deserve it.
Ooh.
You have work to do.
So you feel like a man should deserve a good relationship?
Absolutely.
Really? Because I think I remember when we had the panel where we were having that discussion. I know there was a topic of women constantly saying that they deserve certain things.
I deserve.
But you're saying that, so it's interesting. So, because I know a lot of the men were saying, like, women got to stop saying that we deserve a good man and things like that. Yeah. You should earn that. But for you, you're saying as a man, you don't deserve.
You don't deserve anything. Yeah. I don't think anybody deserves anything. I think deserve is a terrible word because it creates entitlement. I think it's about what you qualify for.
Yeah.
Right? And like I said, before, life is pretty much about picking your struggle. Mm-hmm. Life is not about being happy. It's not about being sad. It's about picking the struggle that you're the most excited to face. Right? Mm-hmm. Oh. And everything is work. Mm-hmm. Work is work. A relationship is work. Children is work. Everything is work. So you have to have the disposition and the patience and the attentiveness to be able to pour into that. But until you've covered your fronts, your provide and protect fronts for yourself, you've established, you know what I'm saying? You've steered your spaceship in the right direction. Mm-hmm. Why are you asking people to climb on board?
That's true. I can see
Same with a business. Like, you have to get to a certain point before you start hiring employees. Mm-hmm.
That's true. So with all of that, because especially with what that guy was saying in terms of women, if you're kind of wanting your woman to add financial gains to the table, what is I've never asked you that question. What do you feel about the whole 50-50 relationship topic that's been swarming around for the longest on social media, and how a lot of guys nowadays are talking about that?
I have two thoughts, right? Because on one hand, I'm African, so in my dream world, my blue sky, I want to be bringing in so much or enough where my wife can work if she wants to. Yeah. My wife can pursue the things that she's passionate about. My wife can take risks, right? And have a soft enough cushion to fall back on. So like her income or whatever she's bringing in.
You just made my Haitian heart so happy. Like, no, seriously, whenever I hear a man talk like that, and it's not usually African American men. It's usually men of our cultures. Yeah. And whenever I hear that, I'm just like, oh my God, I haven't heard that in years. But go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
Nah. So like, so whatever she's bringing in is like for savings or it's for vacations. It's discretionary. It's not necessary. Like everything else is covered. Yeah. With that being said, that is not a realistically attainable goal for most people, especially in today's world, especially with inflation, especially the fact that women, especially our women, are working and making really good money. If we can leverage that additional income, why not? Like, and it's hard. Like I said, only 1%, 2% of people are going to be able to live on one income. You're going to need two incomes. So, like I said, my ideal situation is where my income is enough. Yeah. But I understand that maybe it's not 50-50, but most modern women are going to have to pitch in on some level. And for me, I actually put a dollar amount on the things that women do. So like cooking, cleaning, childcare, all that stuff. It has a dollar amount. Yeah. But, if there's additional money coming in to add to that dollar amount, and maybe it equates to 50-50, sure, but the whole, we're going to split everything right down the middle, I don't think it works. I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I think that bothers me so much with it, because it's like, to me, it makes me look at like, okay, are men not wanting to be men anymore? Women not wanting to be women anymore? Like, where are we drawing the line? Because just as he was saying, and when he said that, he explained it so well, which is something that I was trying to explain to the guy that I used to be with, and I was telling you kind of a bit of the issues that we were having. I didn't necessarily know how to explain the fact that I don't know how to maintain myself as the traditional woman if you're not being the traditional man. Because now you are trying to overwork me. You are making me put forth so much. Now I'm exerting myself. But I didn't necessarily know how to explain that. It wasn't until I watched that clip, and I was like, oh my God, there it is. Yeah. That's what it like. And I didn't realize like what I was feeling, because I know I would feel anger, annoyance, exhaustion. But I realized that like both people do have to contribute financially now, because there's no way you guys can afford everything on your own, especially if kids are involved. For most people, yes. But I feel like this 50-50 conversation, it feels a lot like a cop-out. in a way, in my opinion. I feel like it's a cop out not only for men but for women too, because then it's like we are hiding behind what we're the best at, and that's being feminine, having that feminine energy. Mm-hmm. So if we're taking on like, well, I'm paying half of the bill or half of whatever or anything, and I'm also being that masculine person, then here I am, woman, hear me roar. And then that's when I feel like these kind of clashes kind of keep happening.
I think what men are actually trying to articulate, I don't necessarily think it's like, let's go 50-50 on the bills.
Okay.
I think what men are actually trying to say is, because what happens as a man most of the time is that you're auditioning for a woman.
Yeah,
You're taking her on dates, you're incurring all these expenses.
Yes.
To maybe get her to like you.
And that's a maybe.
Maybe. And I think all men are really saying is, as much as I'm auditioning for you, you should audition for me as well. Okay. You should prove to me your worth in my life. You should show me how being with you makes me better than being by myself. Or just being out here chasing pussy.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't think most women are willing to hear that. Because I think most women's idea is that, and that's why women will say, I am the table. They think their presence alone is the value that they bring. And it's a value that is enough. And how dare you ask for anything else?
I can agree with that so much. And I think I was actually asked that a while back. Like, if I were to be with you, like, how can my life be better? And I was like, I actually love the question. So I had to kind of dig inside myself and say, okay, so what makes me a good partner for a man to decide that they would want to choose me? Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of women say they get offended by that question, but for me, it's like, no, because just as much as you need to know what kind of man he is, he has to know what kind of woman you are, because you are the person that will potentially carry his seed.
Yeah.
So who you have babies by matters drastically.
100%.
Yeah.
I think especially for women, because I've been telling women this a lot lately. I've been saying, unless you're willing to potentially die to clone this man, you shouldn't be involved with him, especially not sexually. Oh my God,
that's deep.
Unless you're willing to people don't understand how high the mortality rate of mothers is.
Yeah.
During the first trimester, second trimester, third trimester delivery, people go blind, people lose limbs, all kinds of shit. And it's like, if you do not, and that's why I'm not a huge fan of, I love him. No, do you admire him? If you don't admire a man enough to risk death to clone him, why are you with him?
Give me that.
I'm saying, oh my God. And that's why, like, at some point, the complaints that you hear and the things that, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that, I wish he would. It's like, and that goes back to me saying I don't feel bad, because ultimately, like, as human beings, as a human species, our number one law is self-sustainability, right? And then our number two law is to procreate.
Yes.
So everything that we do from a psychological standpoint revolves around those two ideas. I want to sustain myself, and I want to project myself into the future indefinitely.
Yeah.
So if even the process of sex, the shit that turns us on, tall people with good skin, people with good genetics, all that stuff, it's so our offspring have a better chance to survive. So when I see women procreating with men who haven't proven to be intelligent, haven't proven to be resourceful, haven't proven to be to have integrity, haven't proven to be anything that is actually going to give your kids a competitive advantage in the world from a what he can teach them standpoint, or just from a genetic standpoint, then it's like, what are you doing here, man? And that's part of what I think the sexual revolution left out. Because it's just sex for the sake of sex.
It's sex for pleasure.
As opposed to, because here's the other thing, the consequences of a man having sex is like
nothing.
STDs, and then the conscience of, I got somebody pregnant. The consequence of a woman is everything, and potential death.
Yeah, that's so true. And then after that, we are the primary caregiver. And then it keeps going for years and years and years. That is so true. Yeah. I never thought about it that way. If you don't admire a man, do not procreate with him. Yeah. I never thought about it that way. I think for me, I would just think about, would I want this man raising my children? How would I feel about this man raising my children?
No. How would you feel if this man was your child?
Oh shit! Do you know how many men that I would have avoided dating?
Listen, I'm telling, and this is just,
oh my god,
this is just genetics, right?
Yeah.
If you wouldn't be proud of this man as your son.
Ah bon. Donner toutes ces oui.
I know what you said, but yes.
So you just gave me a shocker.
That's what I'm saying. And you know, I think that speaks to like some of the toxicity, because some women will actually pair with men that they feel like they're better than, because it gives them an ego boost of, you need me more than I need you. As opposed to understanding that based on just being a woman and the risk involved and what could potentially happen if you guys continue having sex, unprotected sex, have a child, you will literally bring another version of him into the world. And the idea that that version is going to be better than him because of you,
no, because it's also nature versus nurture. And sometimes there's a nature where, because I wasn't even raised by my biological father. Yeah. And my mother tells me all the time I have so many ways like him. And I'm like, how? Yeah. I wasn't even around this man. But like nature.
It's real. And what's messed up is, even from the nurture standpoint, you'll have some women, for instance, because they're so bitter and they have so much resentment towards the man, they take it out on the boy.
Yes.
They take it out on the boy, and he becomes even a worse version of because he's like, well, shit, she think I ain't shit anyway. If my mama don't think I'm shit, so I might as well just
not be shit. Yes.
And he becomes his dad 2.0.
Yes.
So the real question is, are you okay with producing a potentially the worst version of this man? And is the best version of this man, as he is, not as you think he could be and you've made up in your head, is it worth risking your life for?
And 9 times out of 10, we would say no. That's the worst part. Once we're done really getting to know them and all of the butterflies kind of goes away, we sit there and we realize, like, no, not really. I don't think I would want to, because I know that happened to me. Because, and you know, I remember there was a comment that you've said all the time, like, Black mothers have really ruined more Black men than anything else. Right. And now it's like, I realize, like, now being back single and going back into the dating world, like, now I want to start asking men, how's your relationship with your mother? How's that? Yeah. Because I didn't realize it as much until my last relationship. I really realized, like, how much a toxic mother can really just completely mess up a man.
A bad father can potentially ruin a family.
Yeah.
A bad mother could potentially ruin a generation. That is a fact. And I don't think we talk enough about women's mommy issues.
Oh my God.
Because sometimes it's like, I felt bad for her for enduring all the trauma that my dad put her through, or whatever she suffered. But a part of me, and a part I might not have even recognized, resented her for being so stupid.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
No, I'm just because I'm thinking about myself. Like, yeah. Because if you weren't so, like you said, well, I don't want to say stupid, but I guess not thinking all the way, there's certain things that we wouldn't have gone through as children, or I wouldn't have gone through as your child.
Right. Most of us grew up with, including myself, mothers who just spent all their time complaining about their fathers.
Yes.
He's not this enough, he's not that enough. Well, why couldn't you get
that dude that is enough?
Yeah. Why couldn't you? Maybe you ain't, you know what I'm saying?
Maybe you're not as all that as you think. Right.
But hey, mom doesn't get any critique because she was there.
Because she was there. And that's so true. And I think I remember me and my sister having the conversation where we were like, no, I think we need to change that. And we actually did. We actually sat down with my mom and we took her from A to Z of where she kind of went wrong. It hurt her feelings, but I mean, it was the truth. But it's true, we don't critique mothers at all because we feel like, how dare you critique the person who put you on this earth? But we were put on this earth. That wasn't us. You decided to go have sex and have a good ass time.
Yeah. But mothers were all Mother Mary and they didn't have any sex. Your dad just ravaged them and just impregnated her and left her high and dry. And we only get her side of the story, too.
Yeah. Yes.
We only get her side of the story, so whatever she tells how ain't shit our dad was, that's what we believe.
Because who's gonna question mama?
Who's gonna question
she
mama?
Fed us. She put breath in us.
Yeah.
That is so true. And I think that's why as much as this generation is so out of whack, I still, in a way, appreciate it because we're having conversations that we have never seen before.
Yeah.
And it's being recorded, it's being televised. We're having these deep discussions, especially in our community too, because our community is screwed up. Not even just the African American community, but even ours, the African community, the Haitian community, the Jamaican, Trinidadian. You know, all of us have these traumas that we carry, and I love how now we're actually sitting down and having these conversations. And I'm looking forward to how things are going to be for our children, hopefully. But I don't know because now it's so screwed up at the same time, even though we're talking about it.
The only reason I'm pausing, right, because I've been...
and took a breath.
Yeah, and took a breath because I've been working through this thought. And the thought is that as a generation, I don't know if it's going to be us as millennials or Gen Z or whatever generation comes after, we're going to have to renegotiate some of our traditional institutions. And one of those institutions is like marriage. And monogamous marriage. And I'm not saying we're going to get rid of it, but I don't think it can look like it did in 1950.
No.
Or 1940 because the rules are different. The expectations are different. The utility of both men and women are different. Women can't be a 1950s woman anymore.
No.
And this, especially if you have to work a 40-hour work week.
No.
Especially if you have a master's degree and PhD, it might be more educated than the man you're with.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? So we're going to have to, and the truth of it is, a lot of people don't actually want marriage. They want children. A lot of people don't actually want marriage. They want some vagina.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't actually want marriage. They don't want to disappoint their parents. And that's why I think when you see people talking about marriage, they're not actually talking about marriage. They're talking about weddings. They're talking about the pageantry. They're talking about the, oh, girl, I got a ring. Yeah. Look at this dress. Look at this family. This party. Look at these cutesy pictures we take on Instagram. Look at me, my husband, and my 2 kids all dressed the same. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Not the everyday real exactly. And back in the day, a man could tell a woman, hey, be quiet, woman, and make me a sandwich. That works if you're the sole breadwinner.
Yeah, try that now.
She don't need you in a very utilitarian way like she used to.
Yeah, exactly. It's like now we're in a generation where we want each other, not need each other.
Exactly.
And I think that's the problem that we have. But I still feel like we need to see that we do still need each other. Because I would like for my tires to get changed. I would like for my car to get washed.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And I think even as a man, you guys need that emotional support because you guys can't get that anywhere else because society does not baby you guys like they baby us. And I feel like we have, like, that should be our job. We should be the helpmate. We should be that part of the backbone that you guys need. And that's why this whole thing of like, I hate that we are coming to a place in our generation where we see that we don't need each other when we really do.
Well, see, and the reason I don't blame us is because a lot of those ideas that you're talking about were rooted in very practical things.
Yeah. Right.
So I need a woman to be nurturing and things like that. Back then, it was demonstrated by her cooking a full course meal, by her rubbing your back or your feet when you got off work. There were practical interpretations and demonstrations of these things. Those practical things don't necessarily exist anymore, but the ideas still do. Right? So it's like when I say I need a man's energy, back then it looked like him changing the tires and blah, 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 and literally protecting and all that stuff. Now it's not as clear. It's a little bit more vague. It's a little bit more nuanced. It's a little bit more ethereal, right? And I think that's part of why it's hard for people to wrap our heads around, because it's not as visible. The utility of a man, the utility of a woman is not as visible. Most women can't cook right now.
And that's what I can't believe. So women don't know how to cook anymore?
Most men can't change tires.
Oh, God.
It's yeah. So it's like provide and protect, right? It's hard to feel like you're really doing that when you're not the main breadwinner. It's hard to really feel like you're really doing when you don't live in a world where you need to literally protect, right? It's a lot more nuanced, and it takes a deeper level of understanding to really like bring those concepts into the 21st century. I think that's what we're struggling with. Yeah, dudes can't change tires these days.
They can't? I mean, damn, I know they can't wash cars, but damn, like, they don't even know how to change. And the whole thing, I've been hearing a lot of guys talk about, like, women don't know how to cook, like, back in the days and stuff. So women don't even cook?
No. And what annoys me is that it's like it annoys me, but I also understand it in a way. There's something called the paradox of choice. When people are given too many choices, they tend to make none. And as readily available as information is these days, you can literally Google anything.
Yeah.
Whatever food you want to cook, you can watch a YouTube step-by-step video on how to do it.
Right.
But people don't know how to cook. So it's like, on the psychological part, I get it because there's too much shit going on, so you end up not doing anything. But it's like, if you really wanted to, you don't need to go find some grandma. You've got your phone.
Yeah.
You can literally access any information in your hand.
But doesn't it make it worse that people don't know how to do these things if it's so tangible in our hands to like learn how to do it?
The only reason I don't think it makes it worse is because it makes it worse in a way, but we value things that are scarce. And if something is too readily available, it loses value in our minds because we feel like we can always access it.
Okay.
So I'll learn how to cook tomorrow. I'll learn how to cook next day. Versus if you met Martha Stewart today, you're not going to meet her tomorrow. You're going to try to milk her for everything that she has.
Yes.
Especially if she has information that you need.
Yeah, that's true.
So like part of the trade-off with technology and living in the information age, there's so much information that we don't know where to start, and we think we can do it tomorrow.
So it's like we're procrastinating on these skills that's needed. Yeah,
you couldn't procrastinate back in the day.
No, you
Opportunity was like you either get it or you don't. Now it's like I can, for all intents and purposes, but I will can myself all the way till 60.
Damn. So I've always wanted to ask you this question because I know you said you are not relationshiping for a while.
Yeah.
So whenever you are ready to relationship, what is the ideal woman for you?
One of the best definitions I got for love or relationship, I can't remember if it was love or relationship, but they said that love is being able to see yourself from another point of view.
Love is about seeing yourself from another point of view. Okay.
And what that means is like, I have a set of eyes and I can look at myself in the mirror and I see what I see, whatever.
Yeah.
But you have a set of eyes that are outside of me and you can see parts of me that I can't see for myself. And you can share me with me.
Okay.
And I can share you with you.
Yeah.
But the operative word there is being seen.
Yeah.
So being understood. Being appreciated for the way that you see the world. So first and foremost, I need somebody who sees me, right?
Yeah.
Understands who I am and what I am. Secondly, I need somebody who has skills that I don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like one of the reasons why I've always liked girls who are nerds and like really good students is because I was a terrible student. But I'm a nerd. I just didn't like school.
Okay.
So my strength is big picture, execution level, but I don't like minutia. I don't like necessarily accounting and the detailed part of kids have soccer practice at this time, and boom, 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 and dinners at this. I don't like that stuff, right?
Okay.
I can provide the house, I can provide the income to take care of that, but I don't want to be the delegator.
Yeah. Okay.
So I need somebody who's good at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Last but not least, definitely not least, just peace.
That's every single man.
I cannot and I will not spend my days externally, and the part we don't talk about is internally battling the world to come home and battle you.
Amen.
I refuse.
I agree. I definitely understand, especially the part of peace, because every single man, I think as women, if you guys don't hear nothing else when it comes to this, like the manosphere or anything, y'all better pick up that man want peace. I mean, seriously, because I think that's not something that we were ever told. Well, we were never told that.
But in a way, I don't blame women, because I think the reason you guys tend to struggle with that is that, and this is going to sound weird, but give me a second and I'll explain.
Okay.
Female nature is chaotic.
I can see that. But why do you say that?
And because any creation happens in chaos. Okay. From the Big Bang, if you want to believe that, to God pulling out Adam's rib to create woman, from childbirth, from the process of a tree growing and busting out into the world. Like, any creation requires chaos, and women are tasked with creation. So the fact that, for instance, you bleed once a month and you're not dying,
I know,
that's chaos
for a week, sometimes 10 days,
and your hormones and your freaking emotions are all over the place, and you have to try to compartmentalize everything. That is chaos, right? And what I've been explaining to guys is,
he called us chaotic. Y'all.
It's chaotic.
He called us chaotic.
And on the flip side, I've been explaining to guys, because guys think like, oh, nice guys finish last, or the ain't shit niggas win. The truth is, the truth is, what women are the most attracted to, and this is my opinion, it makes sense to me, is organized chaos.
Organized chaos. So what does organized chaos even look like? Because if it's chaos, how is it organized?
Organized chaos looks like, have you ever seen one of those painters and they'll tape off like a square?
Yes.
And then they'll just throw paint at the square.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
And then when they remove the strip of tape that they put on the square, it's literally a perfect square of chaos.
Yeah.
Because they literally just threw paint at it, but it's put in like refined and very specific boundaries.
Yeah.
I think that's the visual I think of with what women are.
Organized chaos.
The girl told me like she doesn't like when a man's hairline is too crisp. Like she doesn't like when it's too crisp. And I was like, what? You hear girls say, I don't like when a man is too pretty. I don't like when a man is too muscular or too this or too
I've heard that part. Like they don't like a man that's too muscular, and I'm like, why? That means he takes care of himself.
There needs to be some visual. There needs to be some recognizable imperfection. Because that's what, like, I hear girls all the time. The popular phrase now is, I want a man who's medium ugly.
What the fuck is that?
I've heard that. I want a man who's medium ugly. So going back to my first point, I think organized chaos is what men should strive for.
And so going off of that, I'm so glad that's like a perfect transition on what I wanted to ask you about. Remember when I had posted, it was like this Twitter thread of women talking about the good things that men did. And I think, let me go ahead and try to pull that up really quick. Because I want to because you were specifically talking about the Cameroon guy. And let me pull that up really quick. It'll be 2 seconds. Okay, so with the Cameroon guy, she stated that, let me see here. Okay, so this woman says she dated a black man from Cameroon, and he told me that I didn't have to work and moved me into his house, bought me a BMW, and asked what my budget was for beauty maintenance, and gave me an allowance and cooked for me and bought me anything that I wanted and treated me like a princess. And I remember you asking, like, I wonder what happened with the Cameroon guy. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I know, I asked the same question too, and you said, well, women necessarily don't like that type of treatment. Mm-hmm. So I kind of wanted to ask you, because I know how you were talking about the organized chaos mm-hmm. and the whole, nice guy finished last and how people talk about that. So why do you think that women don't want that kind of treatment if that's something that we always kind of beg for? Well, outwardly we beg mm-hmm. for that.
Yeah. I think women are the best examples of the human condition. And the problem with us, our disease, is that in as much as we don't want bad, mm-hmm. we really don't want good. When life is too easy, it becomes miserable.
Do you think it becomes boring?
Yeah. And there's boring is a tangible feeling. Like boring feels like the problem with human nature is we need mountains to climb. Mm. And even when we don't have mountains, we'll invent mountains. Like I remember there was a motivational speaker he was talking about. He was like, most people say their dream is to like retire early and go sip Mai Tais on some beach somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And he asked, he was like, okay, after you've been on that beach for a week, that'll be the best time of your life. It's great, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine being on that beach for a month, for 2 months. Now you're gaining weight because of all the drinks that you're drinking and food mm-hmm. that you're eating.
Yeah.
And you feel terrible. Now you are lethargic because, you've just been sitting under the sun doing nothing. You have no purpose. You have no struggle. Mm-hmm. You have no inspiration. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that most people don't actually think that scenario all the way through and realize that the strive mm-hmm. is the best part. Mm-hmm. Like you'll hear entrepreneurs and millionaires talk all the time. I wish I can go back to when I was broke in the apartment because that was the fun part.
Do you know what's odd? Because we also talk about how we missed the college days when mm-hmm. we were broke and having a grand time because nothing else mattered other than school. And yeah, we were broke, but fuck it, we had a great time.
Well, I think the other thing too is in college, the only way we can look is up.
Yeah,
we
that's
know
true.
That life is only going to really improve from here.
Right, that's true.
For most people, versus when you've made it and there's nothing else to do. Mm. The only thing you're looking for is death.
Yeah.
Like the only thing, what's left? I've made all the money I'm going to make. Fucked all the women I'm gonna fuck. Done all the things. Spoken. And that's why that's something that bothers me. Whenever you see really super successful people, don't they always look kind of miserable?
Always.
They always look like just...
They dress miserable. They look miserable.
Just like they're just going through the motions. Like yes. They barely smile. And mm-hmm. and I'm like... And what's fucked up is it's starting to happen to me. And I'm not nobody yet. I'm not nobody.
But you're in a really great spot in your life, though. You're very stable.
And I'm trying to not lose perspective. Mm-hmm. Because the problem I'm having right now is my mind is so hyper fixated on what do I do if everything stops?
Okay.
And have I covered my bases in such a way that I can self-sustain? Mm-hmm. Right? Like if my job fired me tomorrow, how am I going to pay my rent? Have I saved up enough money? My other stream of income, is it lucrative enough to like sustain me?
Yeah.
And do I have full autonomy over my myself? Mm-hmm. And as much as, I make good money and all that good stuff, like until I get to that point, it won't be enough. But I imagine when I do get to that point, now my concern is, what if somebody tries to take it from me?
Yeah.
And what if this happens? What if the stock market crashes? And unfortunately, the mind constantly moves the goalpost.
Yeah.
And you can never really sit and enjoy it unless you're intentional. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, and stay intentional in regards to that. You know, when you talk about just how people can get bored with the goodness of it all, it kind of has me thinking about, because in my situation, and again, you know, there could be certain things that maybe I wasn't for these certain type of men, but I would always hear guys that I knew that gave, like, they would tell me stories about how much they would give other women, right? And those women were so crazy. And like I would see a lot of like really good guys or good men that I would know always go for the craziest women that would like literally destroy them, hurt their feelings so bad. Mm-hmm. And I would be like, okay, but you're overlooking someone like me, for example, to go be with the crazy woman. So is it the same thing for men? Like men being bored with women that are a little bit like too good of women, or is it just chemistry, or like what is that makes men kind of go for women that aren't the best for them?
I think two things tend to be the case with that. I think number one, and I think what tends to be the most common, is I grew up in toxicity, and I've only understood love through the lens of toxicity. So the girl who is crazy and key in my car and all that stuff actually loves me. And is actually like sprung over me in the whole nine. Like when you fuck a girl good, she'll turn crazy. So I got good dick. Like it's still an ego.
It's an ego boost
thing versus the girl who's like calm and calculated. I didn't fuck her good enough, which is insane.
It's
but again,
so insane.
We're raising a lot of our boys exclusively around female attention, so they adopt a lot of this stuff. But the second thing, I think it's what's the word? Is it sadomasochism or whatever? Some people feel so terrible about themselves that when somebody else reaffirms that to them through their actions, it's fulfilling in a way. You know, motherfuckers pay these dominatrix to tell them they ain't shit. Some people pay dominatrix to spend their money. Some people pay dominatrix to pull up once a month and just beat his ass. Yeah. That's real shit. So I think multiple things are going on, but bottom line, like people fucked up.
I mean, I see that because I have a few guy friends that, or guys that I've talked to or whatever, and they would always go for the women that would treat them so bad. All the time. And then sometimes I would always feel like I would be overlooked because of the simple fact that, like, I'm not about all that shit. I don't like to argue. I don't like the extra rah-rah shit. I'm only going to rah-rah with you unless it's necessary. Other than that, I have anxiety. I need shit to be copacetic. So I'm going to keep shit copacetic and keep shit peaceful because I like peace as well. But I would always see, like, a lot of men where they would really like women that were crazy. But it makes sense now.
Yeah, I mean, the marketing worked on both of us. The marketing convinced us that thugs are the best lovers. Yeah. The marketing convinced us that crazy women have the best vagina.
Yeah. Do you know I literally heard 2 weeks ago I was told that. Well, crazy women got the best sex. Okay. All right. That's definitely not true. That's not true. Yeah. So in your opinion now, what do you think will take for us as Black people, Black men, Black women, what do you think it'll take for us to finally have successful relationships, in your opinion?
For the masses? Yeah. Therapy.
We don't need relationships, we need therapy.
Yeah. that's one of my
True
t-shirts.
Words on Facebook.
That's one of my t-shirts.
But that is? Okay.
Yeah, it's on one of my t-shirts. Okay. You don't need love, you need therapy.
Yes.
But, I think, I always start most conversations from like a Black history, white supremacy perspective. And slavery and everything that followed really did a number on us. Yeah. And then there's a scientific genre called epigenetics.
Yes, I love talking about epigenetics.
And it's, to explain it simply, it's genetic memory. Mm-hmm. It's how we store things, even emotions, genetically. Mm-hmm. And how these things are passed down from generation to generation. So some of the disposition that a kid who was born in 2000 has wasn't actually based on anything they experienced, but it was passed down from the trauma, maybe all the way back to his great-great-great-great-grandmother who was a slave.
Yeah.
And we haven't really unpacked that. And some of the ways that we interact with one another as black men and black women is colored by that trauma that we haven't actually identified.
Yes.
So it's going to take some unpacking.
It is, because I know as black women, we don't trust you guys. And I think we're not even able to communicate that aspect. To say, like, we don't really trust you guys' masculinity. Mm-hmm. We don't trust your leadership because we don't feel like we are safe in your leadership. Mm-hmm. And I wish that that's something that we would be more communicative about. I think that is really true, because what happened to our ancestors as slaves, the things that would happen where, masters would even go to the point of, emasculating the black men in front of the black woman. Mm-hmm. That definitely did a number on us. And also the fact that we were harmed, but our black men didn't really come to our safety. I think that all of that I think
that's
ruined
a brilliant point, and I think we don't discuss that enough. Mm-hmm. Because if you ask anybody, if you stop 100 people on the street and ask them, what is a man? And you created a word cloud based on that, mm-hmm. you would see provide and protect pop out of that word cloud.
Yes.
At the core of any definition of masculinity across the globe, provide and protect is involved.
Yeah.
Under the system of transatlantic slavery, mm-hmm. black men could not exist. You cannot provide or protect as a slave.
Exactly.
You can still nurture as a woman. You can still fulfill all the womanly duties as a woman, but mm-hmm. literally, men could not exist under that system. Mm-hmm. And I don't think we unpack that enough. And what's interesting is what you just said. Shahrazad Ali said it in her book. She said maybe somewhere deep in the black woman's subconscious is an underlying resentment
towards the black men
for not being able to protect her.
I agree.
During slavery.
I agree.
I don't think we've really actually had that conversation.
I agree fully. I think we don't talk about it because it's like we're almost trying to just say, okay, well, we have to get over it. This is, it's a new decade. We're in 2022. Like, why does it matter? This was like so long ago, but we're not even like trying to unpack that part, because I think we do hold a lot of resentment, because when I'm looking at a lot of the older black women that even I was around, there was a lot of resentment towards just men in general. All the time, always hearing like, men ain't shit. Yeah. Men aren't, like, make sure that you're taken care of. Like, even though, thankfully, at the same time, like, while I was being told and fed these things, I was also taught how to be with a man and how to treat them. But I was still told that's what's really weird, right? It's the weirdest thing. It's like two sides. I was really taught, like, hey, like, you can't really depend on a man. Men aren't really shit, but still know how to cook, clean, cater to him. Mm-hmm. Make sure you pander to his ego. Make sure you stroke his ego. Make sure you're his piece. Don't have a bad attitude. Fix that face. Fix your attitude. Fix your tone. When it comes to, like, respect the masculine energy. But yet I would hear, men ain't shit. So how you telling me to respect the man, but also cater to him and admire him?
It sounds superficial. It sounds like, here's how you trick men.
I didn't think about that.
That's really what it is. Here's how you trick men to take care of you.
I didn't think about that.
So deep down, you don't really trust him. You don't really think you can find another one easily. That's why I think most divorces are initiated by women, because it's like, I'm gonna do all these things so I don't get fined, as opposed to I'm doing these things because I want to.
Yeah,
and this is who I am. No, this is what I'm supposed. I don't like supposed to people.
Oh no, I don't like that. I like that. I want to. Yes.
This is who I'll be doing this anyway.
Yeah.
And even, eventually when I become an employer, that's what I'm going to be looking for. If I'm going to hire you as a graphic designer, are you somebody who would be graphic designing even if you weren't getting paid for it? You have your own side projects you do, you know what I'm saying? Because that's more sustainable.
Yeah.
If a woman is only cooking because her husband expects her to cook, it's not really, at some point she's going to get tired of it and be like, nigga, I ain't doing this shit anymore.
And you're not,
versus if she loves cooking and she's fascinated by the process of creating a aesthetic experience through taste.
Yeah.
Now that is gonna that's my thing, and I think I had to learn that and realize that, like, those are two different types of women. There's a woman who's gonna do that just so you don't say nothing, or just so she can keep you or whatever, or she's gonna keep the house clean. Versus literally, if you disappear tomorrow, this is just who she is. She loves aesthetics. She loves keeping places a certain way. She loves the process of figuring out taste and, babe, taste this. Tell me what you think. Or let me see what lemon zest and fucking mint taste like together. And what if we try it with you? Those are two different types of people.
Yeah. True. I agree with that. Yeah. But at the same time, we always talk about how love is a duty, relationships are duties towards one another. So how do we differentiate that? Because if I'm doing this because I know I'm supposed to and I love you, then I'm doing it. So isn't that still in the because I think for you, you're probably saying like in a genuine place. Yeah. Like you want it to come from like a genuine space. Like
this is who you were already.
Yeah, before I even came along.
But when I think of duty, I think of doing something when you don't even want to. Right? And I think there should be a sense of that. But I think, for me, what I think is more sustainable is I would be doing this anyway. So even the success that I'm starting to find on YouTube, I would be doing that anyway. So it doesn't feel like work.
Yes, because that's been your passion. You've been doing this for years. When you didn't even have anybody looking at you, you were doing this anyways.
Exactly. And I've come across, and same thing with any man who has any passion or any purpose that he's pursuing. And I've come across women where, like, she cleans her house because I'm coming over.
Yeah.
As opposed to she can't go to sleep when there's a dish in the sink.
Yeah.
Two different types of people.
That's true. Because I can get that, because Lord knows that's me. If it ain't clean, I'm not sleeping.
Two different types of people.
Yeah, no, I get that. Well, I think this was all, because I know these are all the things that I've been dying to ask you.
You'll come up with more.
Yeah, probably so. So we'll probably have another part 2. So we've definitely been at it for a while. So guys, I definitely want to thank you guys for coming through, listening, and everything. Please make sure you subscribe to We Need to Talk, the channel. It is amazing. Any and everything that you could think about as a black man or black woman to ask and have discussion on. I mean, Alan does it. So definitely subscribe to his channel, and definitely make sure to subscribe to mine, comment, share, and all the good things. And then also follow This Needs Wine Pod. And I will see you guys later.
Thanks. That was good.